good evening and welcome to this edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me as co-host, Dennis Brown. We are joined by Kentwan Jennings, and we are awaiting the arrival of Wayne Streaker Adams. But Dennis, this evening, we're going to talk with these guys about their time first as players at North Village and then actually becoming coaches of the same club, something you've done in yourself. So I'll let you start with Kentwan because I know you two had some challenges, during times of play.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have Kentwan on. Just welcome. Kentwan, in my opinion, is one of the best five center backs that I've seen in Bermuda history. In the best five, could be even the best three. He brought so much quality to the position, and just looking back, I think he was cheated in the English game, whereby if he had the opportunities these guys have today, he would have definitely not come back to Bermuda and play. But it's definitely a pleasure to have him on. First question, I call him Bull. First question, Bull. When did you first get into football, and who was a good influence on you growing up, like at that time? So when did you first get into kicking ball, and who was a big influence on you?
Well, football was first introduced to me upon Kite Hill Government Gate because I had such a big family. We always kicked football, and it was just something we always did because I watched my Uncle Elliot play a lot when I was younger. So I really got introduced to football from Kite Hill, playing with the kids in the neighborhood, because of course at that time neighborhoods we always played on the streets and stuff like that there. And I think at the age of 5, going to Bishop Spencer, I was taken over by Earl Fran, Jamal Salam. They took me over to the desert to start playing with North Village at that time. So I think that was my first introduction to football at the age of 5 at North Village.
Before Earl goes, right? Because all of us grew up and we always talk about like backyard kicks. All of us grew up kicking somewhere in some neighborhood or in another parish. If you could go to any parish back in the day and see a kick and even join in those kicks. So, Kentwan, how significant was those backyard kicks for you when you were growing up?
I think that was very significant in the development of like just football in general. I think I really started noticing the backyard kicks and what it really done for me when I used to backyard kick at an early age with guys like Herbie and Andrew and David and Sean Goda, because we were all from the same neighborhood and things like that. And I can remember just kicking in the streets, playing one bunch, one touch over cars at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That was the challenge. Of course, all of them, David Good and stuff, and just walking down to Knox Park to have kicks, where I was probably one of the youngest, and getting abused by them because, they were making me look silly as a youngster, pushing the ball through my legs and thing. But I think that was my first real development as far as like understanding football a bit better. But mostly from playing up with my family, my brothers, of course, my cousins, playing up on Kite Hill. So that's where it really started from. But I think hanging down with Andrew and David and Herbie and those guys and Gerda, I think that's where it really started to pick up for me.
When you look at getting into the setup of North Village as a youngster, when did you start being pushed forward at what age did they start pushing you higher into especially at the youth levels?
I think I will start push forward maybe at the minors bantams
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think I really got an opportunity to play in the bantams of the tournaments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I because at 16, of course, I went straight into the first team. So I never really got a chance to play juniors a lot because I was pushed into the first team at the age of 16. But I went 16 in October. Of course, the league was playing, and I played that weekend. So I I was really pushed a lot from maybe as a bantam. Well, if they know what bantams is now,
People that watch this know what Benton.
Under
bantam
16.
player at the
Yeah.
age of like 14, 15. And then I think that's where it went from there because they kept saying I was going to be the next Willie Baxter and the next one to come through. And I think that's where it started. That's where it really went to because I never really had a junior career as far as playing a lot of junior football.
Mm. Dennis, there was a time when we started to see North Village, especially around Kenton's time and Streaker's time. We started seeing North Village flooding in a lot of their youth players. Somerset was doing the same thing, but they hung on to quite a few of the senior players. Was that by design?
Yeah, well, that is definitely one thing that I've learned over the years that once you bring, and it happened even when I came through at 16, the same way with Canton, you need experienced guys to bring you through. Um, I mean, in my day when I was 16, I had George Brangman, Trix Richardson, um, and one of the most underrated guys, in my opinion, was Larry Simmons because Larry Simmons taught me so much as a senior player. Steve Bean, these guys, they brought me through. So it's important to combine and balance your team with not just youth but experience to bring them through, which I think is very important.
Mm. So, Kenton, who were some of those players that were senior players that were around you, that kind of hung around to ensure that you understood what you were getting into in that senior team?
Well, of course, I mean, I had my guardian angel, my uncle Elliot, that was in the senior team at the time. Um, I was coached at Bantams from by Wendell Willie Baxter and Charlie Emery. So when I went 16, I was in the team with them. Had Casey Simons, Pickles, Canal Castle. One that I really learned a lot of from is Haley Malacott. He was fearless, and I think that's where I learned to be fearless. Playing with him, Bump C, so many guys, David, Andrew, Herbie. I mean, I had a wealth of talent, like Dennis would say, had a wealth of talent of senior players to play around. So it was always a difficult task to put your authority on things because they were always guys that say you're not gonna take spots too easily, so you're gonna have to really earn it. So those are the guys that I really were molded by when I first came into the first team.
Mm. Dennis?
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw Canton play. It's about 14, 15, because the Somerset guys were saying this guy Jennings standing back from Village, and
Mm.
the first time it was two Jenningses, and it was one that came after him, Jamaica. It was two Jenningses that they talked about who were coming through the youth ranks at North Village. It was Canton and Jamaica. I remember Kenny Thompson was saying, well, you need to watch this boy Jamaica Jennings down North Village. And also watch Canton because these guys are coming. And the first time I saw Canton, I said, whoa. Like it was like almost looking in the mirror. Like you said, fearless, good on the floor, quick, nobody messing with him coming down that middle, excellent in the air, good leader. I said, well, yeah, this young man, he has got got a good future. And because just looking back at North Village produced some good center backs. Um, Joe Trott, who to me was the king, Willie Baxter, Cantwan. I also liked Kimmy Beans, and as well as Kofi, because I think Kofi was an unsung hero at North Village too, because Kofi was a very good center back for Bermuda and North Village. So like I say, a Village have over the years produced some excellent center backs. Yeah, and to watch Cantwan progress through to the national team was a pleasure to see, because and like I said earlier, he should have easily been in a pro team if he had the chances these guys have got today. But or any of us really. But if he had those chances, he wouldn't have played in Bermuda.
Hmm. Well, welcome, Mr. Adams. How are you?
Good evening, guys. Sorry for that little
All is
technical
well?
difficulties, but hey, it happened.
Finally,
Yes.
Chase,
But
things haven't changed.
I heard Dennis talking about good center backs. I was a good center back, Dennis. You
No,
forgot me.
don't worry about it, Streaker.
Center backs don't wear gloves.
Exactly.
So, Stricker, we had asked, Dennis had asked Kentron how he got started. How did you get started?
I got started with my brothers, Arnold and Tracy, pretty much just going down the desert. And I used to just go down there and just watch these guys, play. And I was more of a Gumby when I was growing up young. So I used to just go down there and just help with them. I started running around, and I actually started playing left back. Just with the youngsters just playing around, and then they were like, listen, go right back. So I went right back, and then one time it was like go and go. So I went and go, and then I just kind of just played around to so I was about I would say probably about 9, and then I started playing in girl a little bit more serious, and then my brother Tracy gave me his girl one time, and I think he transitioned from playing in girl to into a
Center
sweeper.
back.
So then
Yeah.
I actually, yeah. So when he transitioned, he gave me his jersey and his gloves, and then it just took off from there. So, and it was just whenever the opportunity knocked, I was just able to take advantage of it. Because I was always with the older guys, and it was just a matter of like, I remember one night Doc was like, listen, you're 14, go and play and go. It's all right, and went and go, and and that was, I think that was early in the days when Sean and those guys were, they seemed so far ahead of me, even Caswan and those guys, because even though the age gap isn't that big, but from back then you couldn't just get in a bantam team or a junior team then. So if you was a minor, then that's where you played, because you weren't getting in those other teams. You weren't even peak, just like a.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with Kenton Jennings and Dwayne Stricker Adams. We'll be right back.
Putting down a weapons.
You seen this? Our old friends Arrowhead Mills was founded in the 1960s in the famous Texas Panhandle with the ambition to promote the production and use of pesticide-free grain, cereals, and pulses. The mission was to bring the most wholesome food attainable to the mainstream markets. Since then, Arrowhead Mills has increased its range of products, most of which are certified organic. You can be sure that Arrowhead Mills know a thing or two about good eats. This month, we're featuring Arrowhead Mills green and red organic lentils. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. I'm still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
Welcome back. Dennis?
Yeah, to both question for both of you. How influential was Doc Durlin in you guys' development coming through North Village?
Doc Durlin was probably the most influential person I probably know when it came to football development. He was no nonsense. Everything went through Doc. I've never seen a man carry so much equipment on a scooter in my life. Doc was influential in everything we did. How we acted, how we conducted ourselves, and it really helped me as far as an individual growing up in the sport. So Doc was probably one of the most influential people outside of, which he didn't necessarily coach me, but he was always around because he was like one of the leaders of North Village back in the day. So he was definitely very instrumental.
Pretty good. Can you hear us?
I'm not talking.
Can you
hear?
No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Still thinking about that girl I scored 3 from 18 yards.
I'll be I'll take the blame whenever.
Yes, silenced him. Yes.
Still thinking about that girl. Come on, man, wake up.
I think I'm gonna blame myself on that one.
Yeah, no.
Go out and come back in, and hopefully your audio is fixed. Canton, just talking about that. Why would you take the blame?
I remember that game very, very well because I was young, and I was always assigned to make sure I marked Dennis. Guys that could head the ball and that were good in the air. Back in those days, I was always assigned to mark the best ones, and I remember that game. It was a corner. I think I was arguing about it, and I was more at the front post and didn't realize that he was taking the corner pretty quick. By the time I turned around to go and look for Dennis, the ball was in the back of the net. So it was like I felt like instead of that was as a young person, just coming to the game, I got a little out of what I was supposed to be doing at the time. Dennis took well advantage of my youth and not being able to pick him up. I don't know if I would have stopped him, but I knew I wasn't in the right position to even try. That's for sure. Wasn't nowhere close to him to even challenge for the ball. So that's why I always say I think it was probably more my fault when he scored that goal. It'd have been nice if he would have never did it, but it wasn't.
Stricker didn't even see it. Stricker didn't move until he picked it out of the goal.
We can hear him now.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you remember that, Dennis. Yeah, that's good. Because I remember the penalty I saved against you when I first started up Somerset.
That's why I scored that goal, because you saved the penalty against me.
I don't think I'm in my whole career. I'm only saved a handful of penalties. So it was good. Yours was my first one.
Mercy. Yeah, I missed 4 penalties in all my career. 4 penalties.
Missed or have them saved?
1 saved, Stricker saved. No, 2 saved, and 2
missed target.
I remember playing in a friendship fun against Devonshire Colts out Iraq. We got a penalty like in the first minute, and the penalty like Embers went out for a throw-in. It was that bad. I slipped the ball. Embers better everybody caught a flag. Unbelievable, but yeah, unreal. So
yeah.
Okay. So both of you, when did you first Canton got him when he was 16? So who was your first game against, if you guys can remember, and how you guys think you did? So I think both of you got in at 16. What do you say?
Yeah, I think Stricker. My first game was against PAC.
Okay.
I remember that to the T.
Strike Force.
Yeah, my first game was against PAC, Semi-Swan, all them. So that was my first Premier Division game against PAC, up at PAC.
Right. Stricker?
My first one actually was against Rangers, actually.
Wow.
And we lost 3-0.
Okay.
So yeah, we lost 3-0 against Rangers. And at that point, I was like, well, I ain't playing Premier no more. And then
tough.
And then from the national team, my first game was against USA. I came on as a sub under Gary Darrell up at the National Stadium. So yeah,
okay.
I mean, but there's were times when I mean, I was just lucky. I mean, it always seemed like I was in the right place at the right time. Because it was, I mean, even because I started with the under 19s, I think. And it just happened that Neil and Steed couldn't go because of work. I think he was a police cadet back then. And I just happened to be down the field, just getting in the way, as I called it back then. And Coach Trout said, listen, send that youngster up Warwick Sack this weekend. And it just worked out that Neil couldn't travel. So they took me on the tour. So, and I got to play with the under 19s. And I think I just went 16. No, I just went 15. So that was the start of my career there in terms of being involved in the national program. So
what was it like winning your first trophy at the club in the senior division? Can you remember the game? Canton's good.
Canton's ill, not me.
I can't remember.
I can't remember mine either.
I can't remember. I could just recall. I recall the first season that I played. I think to me the first trophy. I wouldn't call it a trophy, but beating PAC in my first game up at PAC. I think it was 2-0. And to me, the trophy was that I remember that my mother came to the game, and she's a big PAC supporter because of my uncle Dockford, who paid for PAC. So she came to the game, and we end up, and she was making all this noise, and I'm telling her, be quiet, like when I was taking a throw in, and she's shouting at me. But that was so, like, but I don't remember my first trophy with Village. I just remember. I could just remember that first game. Like, to me, that was probably my biggest trophy ever. Is beating my mama's team. And she was more proud that I was playing because she cheered for me the whole game. So
okay, so she's a PAC supporter. What color did she wear that day?
I can't even remember. She probably wore black and white. But hey, listen, I wear black and white all my life as a kid. Man, she took me games. She tells me.
But you had no other choice there. See.
Yeah, I had no other choice. I followed my Uncle Elliot, so more or less,
Right.
Coming from Government Gate and stuff. So
Right.
that was how that worked out.
Streaker, you remember yours?
Actually, yeah. My first trophy was against PAT. We PAT 2-1 in the F1. It's
PAT.
actually that's been going around recently, and us
Yes.
yeah. So that was my
Yeah.
first cup game.
What year was that?
So yeah. So,
Whoa. Because who scored the winner? I think Diamond scored the winner. Did Diamond score the winner?
Diamond,
That's when
Diamond,
Gutta
right,
came back.
Diamond, Love Tie.
Yes.
Yes, Gutta came back for that match.
Yeah, I played that match. I can't
Yeah.
remember if that was the
I
first
think Gutta.
one.
Yeah, Dennis.
I'm sure you want to try me. Remember what you guys like against House. I think you played that night, that day of PHC.
So to me,
I think Neo made some good saves. I think he saved a couple of penalties that night.
I can't remember when the trophies. So many of them.
Antoine's bought a lot of balls, man. He can't remember.
Streakers hit me in the head a lot too, so I can't remember all that.
I'm telling
Could
you.
you imagine how they get concussion today? You guys.
I'm telling you. Unbelievable. Unreal. Like
Concussion weren't even thought about then.
Yeah, for real.
I had to miss some football.
Yeah, get hit in the head, get up and keep playing. Unbelievable. So both you guys name some memorable matches that you played for North Village. Some memorable matches that you can remember playing for Village.
Oh gosh. My first game against PHC, probably winning the FA Cup against them. Also, I would say this, not just your own, the first memorable matches when I played against you, because you were such a somebody I looked at and I wanted to be like. So playing against you for my first match was definitely memorable. I was in awe of everything because Somerset was such a big team back then. Always wanted to beat them. I don't know if he ever beat Somerset a lot when I played.
I can't remember that.
I can't remember. Yeah. I'm gonna blame it on the concussion. I can't remember.
I can't remember that.
Probably my first international tournament at under 17s when I went at 15. I remember had guys like Goda, Clay, Dean, Minus. I was a youngster game with them. Then I went back 2 years later as the captain of the under 17. So that was probably most memorable. And then I think probably the biggest one was probably playing with my Uncle Elliot. The first game we ever played together was the same game against PHC. Because watching him as when he played juniors and then into the first team as a youngster, and then being able to play on the same field with him was a big thing for me, because he was like my hero back when I was younger. So that was a big one for me also.
And before Streaker goes and talking about Elliot, try to get him on the show. But to me, Elliot was one of the best strikers in our era. Like I always admired the way, and I think he was between him and Ricky, the best hold up strikers. Like, you know what I mean? To link up the midfield with the forward line. Those two, remind me of the best two that I played with. Along Jay Simons of Somerset, but Elliot was special to me because he I wouldn't say no nonsense, but he was very quiet, unassuming at times, but very effective. Very effective.
Yeah.
Streaker?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I would have to say Somerset was probably my most memorable one. And actually, we lost. I don't know if you remember this one, Dennis, but Stevie Riley? Scored in the last
minute.
Scored, a trickler. I mean, the last minute. All you say in the whole game, and a trickler. I think it it came off of somebody else going one way, and you kind of see the ball just trickling in the net going the other way. You just say, "Oh man!" But that
Stevie
match
was
was
special.
back and forth. So to lose 2-1 that night was, and that was my first night game up. So I said I went to school at Sands. And actually, I remember Larry Smith calling Mr. Stevens from Devonshire Colts to get permission for me to leave school early so that I can actually play in that match. For some reason, somebody couldn't make it. And so, I mean, I had to go home, had some gear, Somerset. And I remember Lou Simmons calling me in his office that day and gave me a book and said to me, "Listen, you're a youngster, you're going to be really good, but to the point, respect the game." And from that point there, it was always when I went in good, that was the one thing I always try to do, is try to respect the game. These days, I'm still trying to do it, but that's a whole different story, because every day,
Not easy,
the next
man.
day, I'm in trouble.
Not easy, man.
So the pain,
You gotta go.
and I didn't even get a chance to warm up. I just kind of go up there. It takes me the first I have to warm up. I put on heat, and the heat warms up 2:00 in the morning now. So, but yeah, so some of my memorable games is even PHC. I was always up to play PHC. PHC and Sussex was the teams I was like I'll go to bed early, because I just wanted to play against them. And on the international level, I mean, I think one of my biggest games was against Moscow Lokomotiv. I think Dennis played that game.
Yeah, they are good team. Yeah, they
it
are
was the
very
Russian
good
team that came here. And,
very good team.
And they were really good. And a lot of my games, I would have to go back to the World Cup run. It was a good run for me during that time. I was in university. And just traveling back and forth, playing. I mean, I think I was playing, if I weren't playing a game, playing or a bus trying to get to a game, which was like, I went to school Tuesday, Thursday. The rest of that was just traveling to get to the national team and or get to a university game and then jump on a plane and get somewhere else. So it was exciting. So a lot of my career was probably during that phase there in the World Cup run.
We're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with Dwayne Streaker Adams and Kenton Jennings. We'll be right back.
Amy's Kitchen is an independent organic food company, a family business who've been producing wholesome and flavorful foods over 30 years. From their first pot pie right up to 1 million meals a day, and firmly believe in the importance of TLC throughout the entire process. This month we're featuring a range of Amy's organic beans, refried and baked, chilies, medium spicy and beyond, and a multitude of organic soups, minestrone, chunky tomato bisque, cream of mushroom, hearty Thai coconut, and much more. Lindo's, why anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
Welcome back. Ken, what was the level of competition in training like for you guys in preparation for games?
Talking about locally? And
Locally, yeah. North
oh, it was definitely a fierce competition. Training with the senior guys and stuff like that. It was definitely different. They always were telling you, yeah, you're gonna have to earn your wings and stuff. The level was very high, always very intense in training. Um, it was a good experience. It was a good experience. It was definitely different. I mean, back then the level of football was high, and then every week in training, it was always knowing that we had to play a good team. No matter who we played, we were going to play a good team, and we had to be ready. And we had some good coaches, some good trainers and stuff. But I think all the players kept each other, knowing what we had to do and knowing how we like to play football and stuff. So it was always a challenge, especially playing against the Somersets, the PACs, the Anytime when they came through. So it was definitely a high level of training from playing with the older guys and the more experienced guys, and then coming through with some of the younger guys when they came in.
Stricker, what was your preparation like? Because as we know, a lot of teams don't have or didn't have goalkeeping coaches. So what was your training like, and then being prepared for game days? The audio on again.
On the computer you got.
Your audio is going. Skip up. You're gonna have to go do it again. Go out and come back in. And then we'll come back to that question for you. It's good, Dennis.
Put me in trouble, man.
Okay, Cantor, it's nice to see you still involved in the game. I know you did a bit of coaching previously, and now you're getting into the officiating side of it. This is a rough question. I know you're an honest person. What is the difference between football in your era, our era, compared to what you see now? What's the difference?
Difference in the playing aspect or the refereeing?
Playing. The playing wise, discipline wise. What's the difference between yesteryear and today? It's football.
Honestly, when I look at football and I watch teams, I just don't think they have the passion for it. The way we had it, I don't think they put enough time into it. I think it's a different era, and you try to understand that it is a different era, but what we put into the game and how we saw it is so much different how they see it. I mean, we got to look at big league soccer once a month, on a Saturday. These guys get to see football every day, and I don't think they really understand what it takes or what it means to really put in the effort to make the game better, not just for the collective game, but for the self. I mean, now we have so many youngsters going away early and expressing themselves to better quality of football and stuff, and we've got some good professionals, but the advantages are there more today than they were there then, and we had we could have probably had 50, 60 players playing professional back then with the quality of players we had. I just think it's the passion of it. I mean, I feel too many kids are sitting in the houses playing video games. I mean, but that's just how things are. That's just how the technologies come about, and taking it from going fishing and going outside more. So I just feel it's just a different phase of life where the game is just not important to us in Bermuda as how it was back in the day, because they don't feel like it's needed. They feel like they got so much other outlets. They can do it whatever they wish to do, and football is just whatever football. I mean, I hear a lot of young guys saying, "I don't get paid for it." I said, "Well, I don't remember any of us getting paid for it either. Going training in the rain and everything else, we didn't get paid either. But we put in the time, we put in the effort. It's what you make of it. It's what you want to put in it. But I just think I don't know if I understand it, because maybe I came from a different era, but you try to see it from that perspective. I mean, a lot of youth do train a lot now and do things, but I don't think as collective team, because you have more qualified coaches, you have more qualified trainers, you have more qualified referees today, but the standard of football has dropped significantly. So I couldn't really put my finger on it, but that's just, I feel like it's just they don't commit the way they should. And I mean, we have a lot of players going away and doing well, but the local game has suffered a lot. And still to put my finger on why it's going down so much.
All right, Streaker. So back to you in that question, and then Dennis, I want you to ask Streaker that same question, because he's involved in the other side. He's actually involved.
Yes.
Yeah. So Streaker, back in the day when you were playing, what was training sessions like for you as a goalkeeper? Did you have somebody helping you or working with you? The audio is going again, man.
What service is using?
Can't be at your house tomorrow.
Can't hear you, Stricker.
Yeah, we can't hear you, man. We can't hear you. You just muted it.
Now he's got to mute it.
Yeah, you got to unmute it. No, man. No. Not working.
Strictly, you're putting pressure on me.
Go out quickly, come back in. We'll wait a minute. Go.
So, Bull, how old were you when you first played for the senior national team?
I got called up for the senior national team. I didn't play. I think you remember this game at PHC. We played the United States.
1-0.
Barker scored that long
David
range.
Barker,
yeah. He scored that long range goal. That was the first time I had ever been involved with the senior national team. Gosh, I can't even remember when I first had my first game to the national team. I think it's when you was getting a little ill, right?
Yeah, I was getting ill, real ill, and broken down.
I remember, I played with you, Roy.
I was ill there.
Yeah, you was babysitting us with that, man. When I started to take over and stuff.
So did you travel with us to Trinidad and Barbados that time? When Kyle scored the winner in Trinidad, Streaker, you were there?
No.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Go ahead and answer that question quick. Why we can hear you?
Yeah. Yeah, Willie DeGraff used to come down and help out. Leon Place, Cubba, used to take me on Saturdays out Devonshire Rack, and we used to do some training. But I think one of the biggest things was the consistency of shooting, like during drills. Back in the day, guys hit the target. So when you were training, you were hitting the target, and so you was able to constantly work on something, even if and you could say to him, hit the ball harder like you did John, and like a striker like Elliot would go, okay, cool. So he'll put the ball there so that you can actually work on diving it and pushing it around the post, taking an extra step and catching it. The level of just a player around you, and even sometimes play on David and they'll say, cut will say, listen, come work on that. Just things like that. I was able to get, and then the other part, hard work. You know, I get work with the team. So I used to put a in one man, kick against the wall, and just practicing there, just trying to get a good temperament. In terms of today's game, still somebody today, and people could be but too bad these don't run because game players, and back then that trying to break into the first team and couldn't be level of the first team.
Kenton, go up to South tomorrow, please.
Change the server, Kenton.
Without the actual hard work.
Okay. We're going to take our final commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk about you guys switching to coaching
again?
North Village. What's that? No, we're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back.
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. I'm still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
John Barrett & Son, home of Bermuda's best beverages, is starting the new year with an exciting new beverage, Numa, the organic sport hydration drink. Founded by brothers Brandon and Jared, both pro hockey players, Numa stands for No More Artificials and is an organic plant-based sports drink with real ingredients like organic coconut water and Himalayan pink salt. Numa partnered with fitness groups in the USA early in their development and expertly responded to the call for purity and simplicity. Try all flavors of Numa organic sports drink this month. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Kenton, take us through that first stint of when you coached North Village, and what was that like, and how did you end up getting that position?
I guess by mistake. I was actually still playing, and they needed somebody to coach, so they asked me to take the role of player coach. So it was working for a bit, and then got a little bit of kickback from some of the players that wanted me to continue to play. So I mean, that's probably gonna come in how Stricker and Maceo got in, because once that happened, we had to find somebody else to really take the role on. So I think after the season, we had a few meetings with Stricker and Maceo about them taking over the team. So it wasn't really something I was trying to do. It was just something that at the time that was put on me because we didn't have the coach, and I just took it on for a while, and then I kind of had to step back and just concentrate on the playing side of it, because the players felt they wanted me to play, and not so much do both of them, do both of the roles.
Mm. And Stricker, for you getting involved at the coaching level with North Village, obviously you and Maceo together, what was that experience like for you? You ran out.
Run it again. I can tell you what it was like. It was interesting. Maceo and Stricker as the coaches of the team that became Triple Crown champions. So it was definitely an interesting combination
Right.
of the two. You know, the how both of them are, as Dennis would know and you would know, was
Right.
definitely interesting.
Mm.
Kept us kept us on our toes, that's for sure.
Because in that time, I was saying that any team with Canton in it was going to be successful.
Mm.
Because remember, he also won the Triple Crown with Vesco.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, and I always said that at that time, any team with Canton in it was going to be successful. A question: I know North Village fans are like Somerset fans. They become attached to the players. How were you received when you went to Vasco from North Village?
That was interesting. Very, I wouldn't say good, but I wouldn't say so bad. I think the hardest part about it was when me and my aunt April, she was very, very, very upset with me. It's very upset with me that I left to go to Vasco. Um, I think a part of why I left, because remember I was away playing professional and I came back. Um, yeah, it's just I was in a different mindset. It wasn't like I didn't like Village or nothing. I just wanted something more of a challenge. And then I had guys like Irvin and Corey and those guys talking to me about going to Vasco, getting a different challenge. So I took the challenge on because coming from the professional ranks in England, took the challenge on. But it had a pretty decent team at Vasco. Some interesting players, different personalities. Not like being a Village, but I can tell you every time we played them, we never beat them. That's for sure.
Wow.
I mean, I think every time we played Village, I think we either probably drew or lost. It wasn't something. I think they very much perked up. I can remember. I think Village never lost a game in the season, but they didn't win the league.
Right.
But they lost the league to us. I think they beat us twice in the league. I think that's the only games we lost. And when I played for Vasco, and Village never lost a game. But we still beat them because they drew too much. So that was. But I don't think they liked it. I wouldn't bet on that. Anybody would tell you that they liked that I went to Vasco. But like I said, I think the biggest thing about when I went to Vasco was that my aunt April was real upset with me. She was T to the max. So sometimes she didn't even want to speak to me. So
She's giving you another, right?
Oh yeah. She speaks to me now. So it's.
Hey, you would have almost said Dennis Brown as a teammate, but his mama threatened to pick him up.
Yep, that's it. No, that was before Cantor. That was way before you. I was 19 then.
Where you want to go?
Pardon me?
Where you going?
No, Vasco had me signed.
Oh.
That's when Andrew went Vasco that year. Vasco had me because I had just won the MVP the year before, and they had me signed, sealed, delivered. Until my mama said, "You could go play for Vasco, but you're not staying in this house." And
I didn't have that problem.
Yeah, I did. I was only 19, so I had to stay with mama.
Yeah.
You can hear us now, Streaker, and we can hear you. Let's see if we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
And we can hear you. All right.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So
Okay,
give us
sweet.
a sense of what it was like your first coaching stint, obviously with Maceo taking over North Village.
I mean, it was. I mean, Uncle Shervin asked me to come in and do him a favor. So I said, well, look, I'm gonna do the football and stuff. I don't want to deal with the players. I don't want to know nothing about them. So I'm gonna set drills, set the actual. What you deal with being off the field, and that was what we done. But I mean, when I came through as a coach, I mean, I had some good players. I mean, Clone actually was one of my players, and I had some players, but at that time, in terms of what I was asking them, consistency. So we were able to get to a level that um, those guys we won and down in their careers. But for that season, we was able to ask them to listen. Let's draw back into that bag that you have, and show the youngsters, show your kids, show the actual community, like last bit that you have. So the demand was actually high, really is, because and when I from them in that I can't do that. So that's really other players. Cantuan, Kevin, um, what's his name? Yusuf, I can't remember. Super his Dad. I brought Damon Wade out of retirement. Damon, listen, we're playing a system. I need you to play for 10 minutes. That the first couple of minutes, pulled him off, and then we started leaving him. And I remember him coming to the bench a couple of times and, hey, it's going 10. I said, give me five and five more. And then be able to get him like time. Just with that, they started seeing, and this was a difference in the player. Then I'll be doing work and I see Damon running. So that's the difference in players that we had back was he started to feel, okay, well, if this guy's going to ask me to do more, I'm going to do more to prepare myself to come back and actually be able to show up and play. And that was a really talented team, individuals, but once they took information and was able to execute the game plan. And I think that's a lot of things now. I mean, in my coaching career now, a lot of it is they have the information, the execution. So automatic where you say, listen, we want to play an up back through diagonal. How quickly can you do? Go to the up makes it because we can't come demands that we're not getting from now to now is talent of that actually plays premier. I think and premiers back then used to work from the is premier.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle. Any final question, Dennis?
Which sport
Yeah, to
that you just turn up on and play.
Yeah,
Right,
and to
next welcome
Streaker,
to my house.
Streaker, I glory in your spirits because the challenge that you took on this season, like not many people would have took that challenge on. And I definitely applaud you for that because that was a humongous challenge, guys, losing like 15 to 20 players. And you took it on. It's been roller coaster for you, but I definitely applaud you for that. I wanted to ask Streaker because you can hear me, Streaker? That's how you look when I scored against you. Just like that.
Yeah, I
Very
can.
Norfolk.
You can hear me.
You can hear that.
Yeah, you can hear me now. Okay, so what was it like? Because you played on the Barca Aziz, right? What was it like to play under Barca Aziz? Because I thought that guy was a mastermind when he came to me. I'll say it when he got fired. What was it like playing under Aziz?
Demanding, very demanding. Like you, you couldn't. It's these will have time to teammate. It was about getting the drills done, staying focused. If it was water, it wasn't a thrill of grab some, have a conversation. No, water time. You jog, get your water, jog back, get going. But just knowledge of to game and thing that he recognized a slow start. So he was like, listen, you coffee or your water because you need to get your body going early and actually help me. But it's just little that he is a play. Man, I remember we would have a training for and you got the and we saw the results. I mean, that team we had that beat Jamaica. I told somebody the team that went to the World Cup was the team that actually beat in Trinidad. Jamaica beat Trinidad. We beat Canada. Then we beat Jamaica. But these two teams, team, and both just showed like that we were at, and the unfortunate part for us, we didn't get to kind of reap that benefit of where we actually and full and under or local. I think we were set back probably, and I think we're still struggling from a national level. Then because the one thing I thought what you what you found in football was Bermuda had an identity. Like we played a certain we were fast, we were organized, and we had to build a football. I I think we still got some time to go back at, but as a country started to build an identity, and that's it with countries, right? I mean, you know how Brazil play, you know how Turkey play, and we were starting to be scouted on how we played versus, I'm not even sure if people scout us now, but back we were scouted. I mean, individual Janice do ball does it go right? Not a strong pattern of put the ball in the air to him, but those are the things that was actually happening, and we lost a lot of that. And I think that was a time the transition of a change too, where players stop serious doing to other things. So, but I mean, Barca Aziz was great. I mean, it was a very time.
Well, Dennis, these two have taken us back on a journey of their time playing for North Village. He even gave us a little stint about the coaching. Any final question?
Yeah, just want to count one. Because I know you had a professional stint at Hereford. What was it like for you when you first went there, pertaining to like, because you know you're going from a amateur environment to a professional environment. What was his fitness like going from Bermuda to Hereford, and then what was your? Because I think you played 2 seasons there, you and Meshack?
Yeah.
Roughly 2 seasons. So what was that like, fitness wise and football wise? What was that like?
Nothing I ever experienced. It was brilliant. It was definitely a change of everything. Change of culture, change of weather, change of pace, 100 miles per hour, something that you weren't used to. But I think he had the support of the manager when he was there, so it made it easier, to adjust. Um, they definitely it's definitely something that I'll never forget. I mean, professionalism and just the tempo and the pace of everything. Everything's about fitness. It doesn't make a difference how. I mean, I could honestly say it. You can play against players that are probably not on the level of maybe what we had back here in Bermuda, but the fitness and the determination is just unreal. It's like you put yourself in a position where even if you're not that good, you can get through, because back then, it was all about fitness. I mean, man, you run. I mean, I remember one time we lost a game against a non-league team, and I think we ran the whole length of Bermuda about twice. And I mean, when we got back to the club, I wasn't one of the vocal guys, but I told everybody I am never doing that again. I said, you will never get me one like that again. And I remember me and Meshack talking about we're gonna run 24 for me because we were such in good shape. But after running that for the punishment, I said I'll never run long distance again ever in my life. But it was definitely something that it's an adjustment where it's not easy to do if when you get to a certain age. It's something you have to really grow into, because getting out there at our age was definitely harder than going out there at a younger age where you have time to adjust. It was almost no time to adjust. You just had to get in. You had to deal with the weather, the food, everything was different. I mean, gosh, I mean, it wasn't as bad as it sounds, but I think the worst thing about it was the cruelty you got from people, because I think back then, even now, it's still a lot of racism and stuff, and a lot of things they used to say, but never really bothered me too much. But it was definitely a great experience that you can never get away from, and it takes a lot. Takes a lot. You have to have a strong mind to definitely want to do something like that. So I take, with the guys that got playing professional now, I take my hats off to them, because it does take a lot, but and they've definitely earned what they've got. I mean, whatever Nick is doing or the youngsters are doing, they've definitely shown that they deserve to be there, because it takes a strong mind to be in that type of position, competing with other guys that's like life to them. To us, it wasn't like life. To us, it was a means of bread and butter. To them, it is. So, whoever's out there doing it now, I take my hats off to them, because these guys are doing a terrific thing for themselves, and being able to take that type of stress, to be at that level every day.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much for joining us on this walk down memory lane. Appreciate your time. Stricker, as Dennis said, they got a tough job, but I picked you to win this week, and they let me down. You got some 12s, put in the goal.
Who's got this week? Yeah, you got FA this week, ain't it?
FA, they play Boulevard on Saturday.
You lose that, you're fired.
Huh?
He loses that, it's fired.
Boulevard on Saturday.
Hey, they can't fire him. There's nobody to take his place.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Good luck,
All
Stricker.
right, have a good night.
All right, guys.
Night, guys.
That's how I got these.